we had started this dirt jumping conversation with the story of me bringing my fat bike to the Phoenixville Bike Park. And that only happens because I told Max that I was not able to ride my fat bike as much because I had been cracking my rims. So I said, Max, is there any way that we can get a tire insert into this fat bike? And he and I just started scouring the shop, scouring the web, and he found a Cushcore to fit inside of the tire and be wide enough to go over the rim just a little bit. And I'm excited to take this fat bike out to Mount Penn and try it out on some tech. It did great on the jumps. I was able to lower the PSI to like 8 or 9, which is really low for me. But thank you, Max at Mainline Cycles, for going above and beyond, completely out of his way to make this happen. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
That's awesome. I know that you love riding that fat bike, and I know that you have not been riding it because you're concerned about cracking rims, which we both have done on our fat bikes multiple times. It's a major bummer. Yeah. But if you go too high on your PSI so that you don't crack a rim, then it becomes a beach ball and it just bounces way too much, and it really takes the fun out of it. So when I went riding with Jeff Jackson and his crew, Jeff was saying, and he was riding an e-bike, and he was talking about having Cushcore, which makes perfect sense. You would put Cushcore in your e-bike. It's a heavier bike. You're not worried about the weight of the wheels, right? But he was also talking about how the Cushcore really changes the ride characteristic of the wheel, of the tire, and that it was designed to change the characteristic. It wasn't necessarily designed to stop cracks or these pinch flats. It was designed to push the tire in a certain way so that the sidewalls would be stronger and you put less air in there, and that the bike would perform better. So very curious on Cushcore and what our listeners think, and if they recommend it. Is it worth the extra weight? I'm in Arizona. I'm already riding an enduro bike. My bike's pretty heavy. I'm fit, but I do big rides. I'll go out. I went out for 3 hours yesterday, in the desert, and it gets pretty hot out here. So I'm already pushing a big bike around. Is it worth it to add Cushcore front and rear, or just rear? So very curious on people's feedback on that. Also wanted to know, did you notice any change in ride characteristics from the Cushcore in the fat bike, or do you think that because the rim is so wide, you're only going to get that pinch flat or that flat protection?
Yeah, I did not notice any change, and I was worried about that because that fat bike is really light. I mean, it's sub 28 pounds. That's how light that bike is, and I was worrying about the rolling resistance. I didn't feel it. Again, this is just in the back tire, though, so
right.
I'm not turning the back tire as much. Right, exactly. So
true. Yeah.
I didn't notice too much, and I'd have to say the same thing about the single speed. Again, I'm only running the Cushcore in the back on the single speed, not the front.
I forgot you had experience with Cushcore on the single speed already.
Yeah, but I'm not using it for ride characteristics. I'm literally just using it to stop cracking the rims. I mean, the places that we ride, Danny, the terrain is just, it's all sharp rocks and baby heads, and it's just nasty. It really is nasty. So I'm not trying to change my ride characteristics. I'm not like, can I get into this berm deeper? I'm getting into the berms just fine. No problem. I really just wanted to stop the cracking of the rims. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll be curious to see what you think as you ride this more on rocks, and very curious to see what our listeners say about Cushcore. Ride and Laugh 1 Gmail, YouTube comments. If you have experience with it, are you pro or are you con? Good experience, bad experience. I know that it really probably could do a whole podcast on this. I'm sure we could. All my questions with it. I don't have any experience with it, so until I try it, I feel like maybe we shouldn't tackle a podcast with it, but really curious to see what everyone thinks. So